Every once in a while, Fortnite drops a change so big that the entire community stops what they're doing and goes, wait, what? Fortnite changed that? Something that doesn't just shift the meta, doesn't just shake up competitive, but actually rewrites the rules of how we've played the game for years. And Chapter 7 just did exactly that. The brand new ADS wall jumping mechanic is easily one of the most game-changing updates Fortnite has ever added to combat in general. For the first time in Fortnite history, you can scope in mid-air and keep real accuracy besides one shot, which is basically the same thing as taking every rule about movement, spacing, and gunplay and lighting it all on fire. Today, I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know about this mechanic, how to master it, why you need to learn it right now, how's it changing fights, and why the people who understand this mechanic are about to dominate everyone else all season long. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video, and let's get right into it. Alright, so the reason for today's video is talking about this new ADSing wall jumping mechanic. Now, once again, this is one of the biggest changes Fortnite has ever done, and it surprisingly took them 7 chapters to actually introduce this into the game, which is way longer than it should have been. But this mechanic completely changes how Fortnite is going to be basically used and changed and everything like that. Fights are way different, how you control space, movement, aim, everything is completely different with this new mechanic. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about with this is the death of safe distance. ADSing while jumping actually completely changes the old spacing rules in Fortnite. People can now literally just build up above you, see you down below, and jump into your face while scoping in and hit full accuracy ADS shots, which will mean a lot more damage from a lot different angles and perspectives and stuff like that. And once again, along with this means jumping is no longer a weakness inside of Fortnite. Jumping used to mean you would have to jump and shoot, and your bullets and your crosshair would be super wide and far apart, and so you'd hit way less damage shots. But with the new ADSing while jumping, you can get way more high damage shots off of jumping. So jumping is now just as useful or as good as standing still and scoping in, if not better, because you can add new movement and momentum into your crosshair, which makes you harder to hit while you can hit better shots. Another thing is when people play height and like end games and stuff like that, it is going to completely change how this is basically used, because once again, you don't have to be sitting or just like this to hit high value shots. You can be jumping and scoping in at the same time. Yes, your crosshair won't be as good as like this, once again, but still jumping gives you somewhat better accuracy than just standing still like this. So it's going to make it a lot harder for players to run away from people that are on height, and it's also going to make the game a lot easier for the people that control height, because once again, they're going to be hitting way more high accuracy shots, especially if they are getting keyed or if they're dropping down to get third-party people. Another thing is close range gunfights are going to become way harder in this season, and the reason I say this is you cannot predict peaks anymore, and people jumping and shooting and scoping in is going to be a lot harder to counter than people jumping and just shooting like in previous chapters. There's also a new thing that you guys need to learn, which is your jump timing. There's actually a point in time when you jump that your crosshair is at its best point of damage, and it's the smallest possible. Like for example, when you're standing still, it's very close. When you jump, it expands the more you go up, and it then once again closes back together the lower you get. So if you're jumping off of something, your peak is going to be right as you jump or as you're falling down to get the most damage on the opponents. Another thing you guys need to be utilizing with this new thing is basically called micro hops, or just jumping while ADSing. This doesn't make you as accurate as you were standing still or if you were just moving like this. But once again, you'll still hit decently accurate shots, and you'll be way harder to hit by other opponents because you're going to be jumping and creating way unpredictable movement that is going to make it a lot harder for people to once again hit you. Now, a thing about these scoped weapons when you are jumping up and down is the landing is a bit harsh, but then your crosshair goes back up to where it was. So just be careful of your landing, and you guys can actually practice this and it will help you out a lot with that stuff. But once again, hopping and shooting and scoping at the same time is very, very useful. It makes you way harder to hit and your movement becomes way unpredictable. Once again, the most important things this season are going to be your movement and your aim, because they did add simple edit and simple build combined. So it's kind of like building is not as valuable as it has been in the past, which makes your aim and your movement more valuable. Once again, building is still important, but if you master movement and aim this season, you're going to be a lot better off than the people that focus only on building and editing. The next thing is basically rotations. Rotations are going to be a lot harder because of this new mechanic, because once again, you can just jump and scope in on people while rotating. So once again, it will be easier to rotate and get damage at the same time, but it will be a lot harder for you to rotate without getting damaged, because once again, people can do this exact same thing you're going to do, which I recommend doing that while rotating because you can get a lot of damage and you can still rotate. Another thing is you guys must learn to mix your jumping patterns. Once again, I did a whole video on how to play more unpredictable. I posted that last week, so make sure you guys go check that out after this video. But basically the whole premise of that video plays into this, which means when you're moving around, don't use the same jumping pattern every single time. Like I was showing you up there, I was just jumping and scoped in the whole time like this. Once again, you're going to want to do stuff like this where you slide, scope, jump, scope, sprint, come back around, and then scope like this. And that will be mixing up your jumping and movement patterns, which will help you hit a lot more shots without people hitting you first a lot, basically. But that also means you can do like jump, slide, jump, and then you scope in, and then you stop, and then you jump, and you can just do multiple different things like that, and it'll help you actually get your aim better, and it will make you way harder to hit once again. And then the final thing is aim training is going to be your best friend this season, because once again, aim and movement are the most important thing. I'm pretty sure they're coming out with more like movement momentum changes in the future, so being able to learn your movement and fully maximize the use of it will be very important. But yeah, once again, you're gonna want to aim train a lot, and I will be having a video coming out either later this week or next week on the best routine for this season, and it will specifically cover these things that I'm talking about, so you guys can actually maximize your ADSing abilities. All right, another thing that we're going to talk about is actually defensive boxing up. Boxing up used to be very, very good, because if you get damage from someone far away and they would push you, once again, their reticle is wider when they're running at you. I mean, you can still hit a box, but every once in a while, if you're like pushing from a higher angle and stuff, it will hit the cone on top. But now that you got ADSing while moving and jumping and stuff like that, it's going to make it a lot easier for your opponents to actually pressure your box and just only hit your wall and possibly get that pre-entry damage that they need to finish out the fight. Another thing is, once again, if you have someone full box like this, it's going to be a lot easier to get heavy hitting damage, because you can just jump across like this, and it makes it harder for them to hit you, but you can still hit the shots. Or once again, if you're taking that right hand peek, jump and scope and hit. It'll make you able to hit a lot harder headshots. And the same goes from your defensive perspective, is that if they're jumping up, you can jump up as well and still hit those heavy shots as well. And also another thing with this is weapons that usually deal more damage from far away, like for example, the AR we have this season, that is usually deals more damage and is the long range weapon this season, are still going to be extremely useful in close range scenarios, because you can ADS super close. So that is another massive thing that will basically change the game for forever. And then once again, with this season, how everything is playing out, the earlier you guys train this, and I know a lot of creative maps don't have it out right now. I literally was trying to test it out in creative maps, but like half of them did not have it. So go into games and just test it out and only work on it. The sooner you train it and master it, the better you will be, and you will be able to beat any opponent regardless of their skill level, just because of ADSing. You will be hitting way harder pumps than they will be if they haven't mastered it, which in turn means more damage. Yes, they could beat you mechanically with like building, editing, and all of that, but if you're hitting 180 headshots, or if you have a gold shotgun and you can 200 pump someone this season, you're going to beat them like 89% of the time. Anyways, that is my thoughts on the new ADSing jumping mechanic. And honestly, I want to know your guys' thoughts down in the comment below. I honestly think it's going to be one of the biggest changes in Fortnite that we've had in a long time, or it is the biggest change we've had in Fortnite in a long time. It literally makes the biggest weakness in the game one of the best things in the game now. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. And once again, we will have another video on Friday. Not completely sure what it is, but make sure you guys tune in for that, because I know it will be a banger. And yeah, make sure you guys all leave a like and subscribe, as well as I have a huge mechanics map coming out later this week or starting next week, and it is the best mechanics map in the entire game to train anything you guys want. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that once again, as I will be dropping a video and multiple shorts for it in the future. Anyways, you guys have a great rest of your guys' day, and I will see you guys in the next video. I love you all, and peace, guys.